Hello and welcome to Claim Your Power Hour. I am Debbie G. I'm here with the wonderful David Strickle. We haven't been live on Facebook and YouTube and Patreon all at the same time ever. So this is a really special broadcast. David, hello. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. And good to see everybody if we haven't seen you in a while. We do this almost every Thursday night on Patreon. And we also do a Sunday Soul Food every Sunday now on Patreon with just the stream solo. So those things we do twice a week still over on our Patreon channel. But we are talking about some interesting stuff tonight. And I decided let's just share this everywhere. Let's share it to all of our channels everywhere. And hopefully you'll have some good questions around this topic. But Debbie came up with the idea for the topic, so I'll kind of let her clue you in on what we're going to talk about.
Well, one of the topics that I'm going to ask the stream about will be the overturn of R versus W. So I'm not going to just say it outright, but there's a lot of controversy around this. And I will say that my biggest question is not so much about whether or not that it's a right to a life, but rather or not that it's a right to a woman's choice within her own being. And I get pretty heated about this. So, but there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and I think it's a really good time for the stream to come in and really share some insight that maybe we aren't taking, some perspective that we aren't really looking at. So for tonight, I ask you to put aside your biases, and I say that for myself, and my judgments, and I say that for myself, to open up a new pathway to understanding, and that's what the stream can bring for you. So please put your questions into the chat because I will be reading them for the stream. And I'm going to stop talking for a minute and just say, David, hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little flushed because I've been running around and getting stuff done all day at the house, and I didn't realize it was even time to go live until you texted me, and I thought, okay, I guess it's time. So I better get into my office and turn the lights on and get ready to tee up the stream. But we got a lot of new furniture delivered today, so it was kind of like Christmas. So, if anything sends me up my spiral, it's like getting stuff that I've been waiting for months and months and months. And having really nice people bring it into the house and have it all show up without any damage. It was just a lovely day. So this is a good way to wrap up a lovely day.
It really, actually, I couldn't agree more. I'm so excited to get into this conversation. I want to share with you guys a couple of things really quick about the law of reciprocity, because we talked to the stream about this the last time, about when you give something away, how that it's our innate desire to want to give back to you. And I want to talk for just a couple seconds about how that I used some Taya tools today, because this is rad, David. Check this out. So yesterday, I was invited to go to a book signing for a really neat lady who is doing a lot of trauma work in the world, a psychologist that works with Josie. So I went to Laguna Hills, and it was extraordinary. And I was thinking how wonderful it was to pay $20 to get into her event, how wonderful it was to buy her book for $25, because honestly, it felt so good to be able to support somebody in their journey. It felt great. And I've been talking a lot about the law of reciprocity, how everything comes back to you. And today I had two instances, and this is what happened. And this is not why I do it, but this is just the universe showing up and saying, hey, yo, and this is the trust your abundance part. So in the law of reciprocity is the trust your abundance. Because when you're giving and you're not questioning it and you're just giving from your heart, that's true trusting of your abundance. And this is how it gets returned. So I get a message on my phone that you just had $25 dropped into your account for something or other. And I'm like, well, gee, look at that, And the next thing I have happen is I keep getting this charge for $14.99, David, and it's for Adobe. So I'm like, I have my Adobe products, but I'm like, what's going on here? So I thought I'll just give them a call. So I'm calling, expecting to get back my $14.99 and cancel the subscription that I thought for sure I'd canceled 6 months ago. But anyway, so I call them up and say, David, I kid you not. You know what they do? They refund me 6 months worth of subscriptions. And it is Adobe that did that. I was like, are you kidding me right now? So I sat there in my gratitude and deep appreciation, radical appreciation for where my life sits right now with my Taya tools, with trusting my abundance. And I wanted to share this with you all because this was what happened today in this trusting of abundance. And so, in that story, I'd like you to think of some questions that you would love to ask the stream about anything you could think of about allowing the process and trusting. So, let me see what you guys can come up with for me. Isn't that a rad story, David?
It's a really good story. I love that. And I would imagine, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but usually when things like that happen, it's because you didn't go into it with a vibration of victim. Oh, they've been ripping me off. I should have canceled this. Excuse me.
Not at all.
You didn't go into it with a vibration of need. I need this. And that's where we get tripped up. We get into that victim space, and I've been taken advantage of, and the world's out to get me and all that stuff. And if you make that your reality, that will be your reality.
That was
Because
it.
everything is an illusion. Everything is an illusion of our own creation, of our belief system. And that's what the stream is offering us with Taya, is a belief system that is free of judgment and fear and victim mindset and all the stuff that the Matrix teaches us, and relies solely on your source connection and universal law. And it works really well. When you allow it to, it works really well. It works
So
really
well. Well, it's an experiment, David. Why not experiment with it? Why not try it?
It really is.
mean,
I've
really.
come to the realization that boot camp has been this big experiment. Can we teach this to people? How can we employ it in our lives? And we've created this global community now of practitioners that are weaving in and out of the practice. You get into it, you get really into it, you see the results show up, you spin out a little bit, you kind of fall off the wagon because the vibrational flow does that to us, and then you always get back in. Yep. That's what I love about it. You restart. The spin out is part of it. You're expected to spin out. You're expected to have some things unravel, and then that unraveling presents yet another opportunity to go even higher.
That's delightful. That's perfect. And the other thing that the stream has taught has been to appreciate the spin out, to look at it. I actually have been saying this, that the universe is working for me, not against me. And something when I first looked at it, went,
the universe is designed to deliver abundance. I know that.
Totally.
It's designed to deliver abundance to us. Our ego in this polarized environment is the thing that holds us away from it. Totally. That's it. We're the ones. The call is coming from inside the house. We're the evildoers to our own selves. Well, that's great information. I know people that are new to these teachings, and since we're beyond just Patreon tonight, there may be people that are tuning in that haven't heard this. People have called this victim blaming, but it's not about blame at all. It's actually the most empowering thing I'm aware of, because once you claim ownership of all your creation, you then claim ownership of everything in your life, in your now, and moving forward, and you become more conscious of your creation. And I love the exploration of how did I attract this without the judgment of how I attracted it. The clarity of how I attracted something unwanted without that judgment of, why did I do this? I shouldn't have gone down in that vibration. Why did I, we don't do that. We're not about that at all, because we all spin out. We've all had things that we've attracted that we have no idea how they came into our paths. And the more you move into what Debbie mentioned earlier, radical appreciation, the more that appreciation brings the clarity of how something unwanted, even something traumatic, can happen.
That's
and
it.
I just love exploring that stuff. You are freezing over there. You're freezing every couple of minutes, but I'm sure it will be fine.
I'm freezing?
And I will mute my phone now. Yeah, you're freezing up a little bit, or at least she is on my end. It's good to see everybody. Before I bring the stream in, which I will do in just a moment, I'll say hi to Lois and Julie, Cheryl, Wendy, good to see you. And Sam, good to see you. And I know there's more of you on, so say hi.
Yes,
it's
please
good to be back on Facebook and YouTube with this special episode of Claim Your Power. And I'm going to be bringing the stream in just a moment. And Debbie is going to ask some really tough questions right off the bat. Luckily, they don't care. They don't get rattled. They don't care. You can't spin them out, or I haven't seen anybody spin them out yet. So we'll see.
But there might be some people who get spun out. So listen, y'all. If it is not your gig, just change the thing. If it triggers you, there's probably a really good reason. So
Yeah.
love
Well, it's
love
funny
that
on the podcast this
trigger.
week. One of my podcast guests was she's listens to the podcast all the time, and she was a guest this week. And she says, "We're going to give you a trigger warning that this podcast will probably trigger you, and if it does, that's good. That means you're exactly where you should be.
Yep.
Because when you get triggered by something, the very best thing to do is explore why you're triggered by it. Because really, nothing should trigger you unless you allow it to. If you allow it to, that's fine. But your triggers are your mind's own creation, and they're always rooted in some sort of a judgment, usually built around a past experience or just a belief. I love exploring triggers.
I love exploring triggers too, but I tell you what, there's some people I'm not looking for squat. I am going to be quiet. We're going to bring in the stream and let the stream talk about that instead of Debbie rant.
There you go. All right. Good to see you, John. It's
Hey,
been a while.
John. Hi,
Natalie.
sweetie. We love you.
And you can probably all hear my dogs in the background. I'm in my new home and my new office that I love very much, but it is not soundproof. Do you hear that?
I hear Lola. Is that Lola or no?
It's both.
She's-
They're playing. Lola and Rocco. They run up and down the hall and play. So you're going to hear that. So until I get soundproofing, it's just part of the world here. They're helping bring the stream in.
They are.
So let's meditate together real quick. Let's quiet our minds. Do a little breath work. Set an intention for the stream to come through. We are here.
It is wonderful to be with the stream. We're going to take a dive into what is going on here in the United States with the overturning of what I call the female protection law. And there's a lot of really upset people about this. This is, I feel, more to do with women's rights and choices than it is to do with an unborn life. So I want to talk about two things. When is a life a life? When is a life a life? What does the stream say about that?
The point that you call conception is a strand of consciousness projecting itself into the physical environment, any physical environment. That is, if you want to define a spark of life, that is it. So the concept of when is a life, consciousness becoming physical, that is the moment of conception. But with that said, we will share. We are certainly very well aware of the thoughts and the various ideas and discussions going around on this topic. We will share that every strand of consciousness projecting into physical projects in as an eternal strand of consciousness, understanding very well the path that it is projecting itself into via vibrational alignment, projecting into a set of circumstances. And when we say that you choose your point of entry, we are specifically saying that vibrationally you choose your point of entry. You choose your parents. That merging of beings that reproduces and creates new life, you are vibrationally aligned with them as a strand of source consciousness, a soul, if you will. And that alignment creates this point of entry for you. And with full awareness of the vibration of health around the parents, especially the mother, full awareness of the preparedness in 3D for the parenting experience or lack thereof, with full awareness of the desire even to conceive and have the birthing experience. That alignment is all about the experience that is offered, however that looks. So that strand of consciousness is projecting in, fully aware from the eternal consciousness state that it could be aborted, it could be stillborn, it could be a miscarriage. All of these labels that you place upon a being that is not brought to term and born. And it could even be born with a terminal illness. It could be born in just such conditions that physically it is weak and not going to perhaps make it for very many days outside the womb. That awareness is there in that consciousness. And from your human perspective, your ego is pushing you, into this experience and pushing you through life and sort of from a behind pushing. We are using an example to describe to you things that do not necessarily have human words, but your ego is the driver of your life. And your ego is driving you to survive and driving you to have a life experience that the matrix tells you is supposed to be X number of years. Notice that you have this matrix that we speak of often. And the collective consciousness belief system of humanity is your matrix that you all operate in. And the matrix tells you that you're supposed to live this long life and that you're supposed to be healthy and you're supposed to be wealthy and you're supposed to have a significant other and fall in love and do all of these things that the matrix tells you you're supposed to do. But notice that that is not working for all strands of consciousness and physical, because that's a matrix creation. And the beings that come forth and buy into that and create a belief system of the matrix, which the vast majority of humanity does, are going to have this, that there is great sadness in being stillborn or aborted or being a miscarried fetus. All of these labels that you place upon things. But from the energetic perspective, from your eternal perspective, that strand of consciousness is coming for the experience of chance, whatever the experience is. There is no ideal situation that they are striving for from that perspective. The ideal is all egoic, all. So when you are judging, and you are all discerners of preference, so there is judgment flowing through all of you in various levels. And when you're judging the experience of that being as being too long, too short, too difficult, that's your human perspective. That is your ego judgment of it. From the eternal perspective, in and out, there is no judgment of the way that it's operated. There is no judgment of born or not born. There is none of that. So from your eternal perspective, you are in infinite scenarios expressing in physical. Infinite. So one human experience is not viewed the same in the energetic realm that your singular human experience, how that's viewed by all of you. But that's to be understood as well, because you have this ego consciousness, and your ego consciousness is giving you your unique human journey, full of discernment, full of judgment, absolutely including fear and things of this nature, because you are projecting into a matrix that creates that belief system. But you're in a polarized environment. So in this polarized environment, you are going to have two different opinions and everything in between that to varying degrees on any topic and every topic, especially those topics that you all believe are very, very important. So to think that humanity is going to arrive in a space where you all agree upon anything is not a realistic place that we would guide you to strive for. Where we guide you to is detuning the fear, detuning the judgment, zooming out of that matrix perspective and finding authentic appreciation for all points of view. Understanding that this matrix that we speak of is being challenged by you. It's being challenged by humanity. In fact, that's exactly what is going on your planet at this time. Humanity has advanced to a point where your elements of control are no longer necessary. You've all gotten together and realized that your matrix has created technology, your matrix has created education, your matrix has created modes of travel, modes of communication, all of these things that you all utilize. And you have moved so far along your journey of development in your physical 3D world that you are now chasing the very technology that creates you. Artificial intelligence, your computers, all of the things that you have created, you're getting very close to a human-like creation. And as you get closer to that, you are all becoming wiser collectively. This expansion that we speak of is all about evolution of consciousness, becoming more sophisticated versions of you. And in becoming more sophisticated versions of you, you cannot help but look back and question all of the elements of control that impacted your parents and grandparents and so forth. Go back generationally and you will see how drastically different the operating systems are from generation to generation. And within just a few decades, how drastically different your belief systems are. So here you are chasing the tail of the technology that creates you, looking at your elements of control, your governments, your religions, everything, borders, nationality, gender. Everything is being questioned now, like never before for humanity. And in all of this questioning, your elements of control are beginning to fracture. You're beginning to look and see, gosh, maybe left or right, maybe neither of those sides are correct. Maybe this rule book doesn't work in our now time, even though it worked before. Maybe we don't need all of these things. Maybe we don't need so much fear being peddled. Maybe all of the media that is pumping fear into our minds all the time is something we should just turn away from and shut down. Well, you're all doing that. And what you're causing in doing that is this awakening in your world. And in this awakening, that matrix vibration, very powerful vibration in your world indeed, wants to stay alive. It is a collective ego. It is not like a collective ego. It is an ego. It is an ego of the collective consciousness of all humanity, and it wants to win. It wants to draw you back in. It wants to control you. And what you see going on in your world, the pandemic and government unrest, things of this nature have always happened, but you see them tamping up a bit. You see more, and you see more angst around them, more fear. And the more you believe that you progress, suddenly these things come along to draw you right back into perhaps what you consider the dark ages. That's the matrix fighting for life, because collectively you are dismantling it. But personally, individually, you all get to decide how much control the matrix has over you. You get to decide if any ruling by your government, regardless of where you are on this planet, is going to impact you or not. But the matrix is tricky. The matrix will lead you to believe that you need to be on a polarized side of an argument, thus lowering your vibration, going right back into your ego, needing to be right and needing for the opposing side to then be wrong, to fight the fight, and very often not for yourselves, but for others. This ego-centered idea that you are somehow here to save others from their human experience. We understand your mode of thought. We understand your vibration, of course. We are of you and you are of us. However, that is a trick of the matrix. And with all of this matrix talk, we want to be very clear that we are not guiding you to judge the matrix. We are guiding you to be an observer of the matrix, to have clarity around what the matrix is, and understand that the matrix is polarized just like any other topic, any other thing in your world. The matrix has done a great service for humanity. You've created all of this structure via your matrix. Your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents needed the matrix more than you do. And you're all very well aware of that. So now you're challenging the matrix. You are wanting to be more free. You're not wanting to have a label slapped upon you. You're not wanting to have an identity, and you're not wanting to live your lives the way that the Matrix tells you you're supposed to live that. You see evidence of that all around you. And as you do that, what is happening? What is happening is it's fighting for life. There are aspects that are coming that may scare you. And in that fear, you're drawn right back into that lower vibrational space of being in the Matrix. You are at, instead of a positive 5, joyful, abundant, clear, you are operating at a negative 5, where you are pliable, you're controllable. But again, this Matrix was humanity's own creation. So we are guiding you not to say that Matrix is evil, that Matrix is a cabal of evil geniuses that are running the whole world from behind a curtain. That is not the case. We have been asked that before, and our answer to that was, do you really believe that the beings with the most advanced egos in your world are all working together in tandem successfully? Of course they are not. It's a vibration, as all things are. The Matrix is a vibration, and that vibration of the Matrix exists to give you a template to live your lives by. And there are variations of the Matrix. Religion certainly is a variation of the Matrix. There are different flavors, but essentially they're all the same thing. This is how to live your life. Your education system, your government, all of these things are woven together, certainly. And they're all a matrix of control. So those of you that are wanting to step out of the matrix of control, understand that when you hear news that your law has been overturned, and you go into anger, and you go into fear, and you go into judgment of the wrongness of it, and how people are going to be harmed by it, understand that you are not solving a problem in a lower vibrational space. Once you dip below neutral vibrationally, you are no longer capable of solving anything. So if your desire is to help another being or help yourselves, being below neutral on your vibrational spiral is not going to offer you the tools to help the other beings. Being above neutral in appreciation, understanding, to be very blunt with all of you about this topic, that there are certainly those that believe that that is a human life from conception, and that any ending of that is absolutely murder. And they believe that passionately. Sometimes very passionately. Sometimes they believe it simply because everyone else around them believes it, and that is the thing to do, and you're all aware of that. And there are others that believe that if a woman is not given the choice whether to have the baby or not, to have the pregnancy or not, that it can harm her life. It can ruin her life. It could end her life in some cases. You are right in all of these cases. That is why we come to you with our perspective of non-judgment, telling you that in our perspective, it is all positive. And then you say, well, I have to take a side. I've been told that I must take a side on this. If I don't take a side, then I'm part of the problem. That's another element of the matrix, telling you to demonize that which you don't agree with. Notice that these things that are demonized in your world and focused upon gain momentum. They do not get solved. How many years have you all been talking about this issue and it has not been solved? If you want to solve a problem, you get above neutral. You allow source perspective to flow. You all have it. You all have your version of this within you. You are all of us. You are all of source. You all do your own version of this if you so allow. Understand that in that radical appreciation, and we say radical because in your world, it's radical to hold appreciation for both sides and truly be neutral. Understanding that for you, you are your own sovereign being. You are creating your reality. You are as safe or as endangered as you believe that you are at all times on every topic. And holding some appreciation for the fact that your fellow beings are here on their vibrational journey. And that vibrational journey for each and every one of you is going to include joy and suffering and everything in between. And each and every one of you are going to have the transition experience, that which you call death. Yet there is so much fear from the matrix placed upon what is inevitable for all of you, and you know it. Again, thus lowering your default vibration. So all of this talk about life of the mother and life of the child and death is the worst thing that can possibly happen. You're all eternal beings having your experience. We are here to guide you someplace that most of humanity is not yet ready to go. But if you wish to go there, we are here to answer any and all questions around any and all topics. Our answers will always lead back to you being the creator of your reality, to you all being eternal strands of consciousness, and to lighten up a bit on this human life journey that you're in. Because the more angst you place upon it, the more fear, the more judgment, the more you're lowering your vibration, the more you're holding yourselves away from joy and clarity and whatever your version of abundance is. Because abundance flows naturally to you in your higher vibrational state of being. But you operate in this matrix that is designed to drag you down a bit. For some, it drags you down quite a bit. For some, it drags you down so far that you choose to separate yourselves from this physical reality. We are not judging any of it. We see you all as eternal. We are delighted in every human journey, regardless of how it's judged in 3D, because we understand that these strands of consciousness that are projecting in are absolutely here to have whatever experience is experienced, even the things that are judged as evil, wrong, painful, traumatic. That is all ego. And you all possess the ability to not completely quell your ego, but to detune it, to allow it to take a backseat to your natural source state of being, which is abundant, which is joyful, which is clear, and which is never in a state of judgment.
Wow. So, and everybody, I do see your message, your comments. Thank you so very much. And I'll get to a couple of those questions. So it's safe to consider that what has been done needs to be undone. And that's what's happening. And that if what I'm gathering is you're saying we should not be focusing on that, which is really nothing more than a distraction in that construct of the matrix.
It is essentially all a distraction. You have multiple things going on that you're all concerned about and arguing about. And the timing of these things is about distracting you and drawing you back into a matrix of fear and judgment. And ultimately, the matrix is keen at taking the division that polarity naturally creates. You're not going to solve that, and using it for control. Pitting you against one another, ensuring a constant state of argument that dulls your vibration just enough so that you are all productive consumers, essentially. That is the design of your current matrix. You can take that to any place on your planet and notice the common thread is the mainstream message is fear and judgment, and you are rewarded for being productive consumers.
I resonate with that. But my other question is, the only times we've, in our human experience, the only times that I've seen the changes take place is when someone like Rosa Parks has stood up and said, no, I'm not going to do this. But she did it nonviolently without judgment, but she stood up and said no. So is standing up and saying no against something that doesn't feel right, is that still judging the other side or taking a side rather than not taking a side? Because how can change happen if we allow it to continue? There has to be something that can be done about the fact that I don't think it's okay that women are being told what they can do with their bodies. And because I'm a woman and that feels so wrong. So how do we
there is no the right or wrong of it is that is your human perspective, and there's nothing wrong with having that. And there's nothing wrong with taking any course of action that you wish to take. But understand that if you wish to solve the problem, going down into that low vibrational field of screaming and shouting and throwing things, and the more you lower the vibration, the less solving energy you're going to have. So you have an example that you provided of someone who, instead of fighting and kicking and spitting and screaming, simply said no. Think of the vibration of that, the confidence, the appreciation even for the alternate belief system, that instead of pushing, pushing, pushing and fighting, that simple no held so much more power. Excellent example, than thousands screaming in the streets. But the boiling point of judgment and anger and fear that the Matrix creates in all of you, regardless of what side you're on, that there is no problem solving in that. Very little, if any, problem solving in that. It's attention grabbing, but you grab the attention, you get everyone's attention, and then the problem still remains. The solving of this problem is in moving to the common ground of appreciation of both sides and coming to some sort of a common ground agreement on what your on what your the matrix of humanity, what your matrix is going to allow. But that middle common ground is where the magic is, because then there's appreciation for both sides. Notice around the subject of children, you have solved the subject by and large of age of consent for a child. You have all gotten together and decided that a child in this age range, that is the age of consent for a child by and large. And that children younger than that are to be protected, and children older than that are able to make their own decisions. But you will understand that there are so many variants in there, that each of these beings is a vibrational being, and you can have a child of one age be far more emotionally mature than an adult of another age. But yet you all got together and found common ground and found something to agree upon, and by and large solved that through appreciation. So you can do that on any topic and every topic in your world. The key is not the common ground to begin with. The key is the vibration of radical appreciation of all that is, both sides. Let that be the dominant vibration. And through that dominant vibration of authentic radical appreciation, solve the problems. But as long as you are operating in the lower vibration you go, the more polarized you become. So notice what's going on in your world, especially since the eruption of the pandemic. More polarity. More. That is the matrix heating up, drawing more people back into it, and being drawn back into it and getting so deep into a belief system that they're willing to die and kill for their opinion. Beautiful. The ones that are so opposed to death, killing other beings because their opposition to death. Because in their mind, they have created a matrix, a belief system, that they are the hero. That is all driven by ego. Source is not guiding anyone to do anything of that nature. That is not a high vibrational act. A high vibrational act is such deep appreciation for all that is. There are no problems left to be solved, because in that vibration, the problems solve themselves. And you're in this polarized environment, and you're always going to have things to solve because you're in a polarized environment, but you are capable of solving problems. Humanity is capable of experiencing more joy, clarity, and abundance, certainly, than you currently are. And where you start allowing that is in your appreciation of how much joy, clarity, and abundance you've already created in your world. Focusing upon the things that are right in your world, as opposed to all of the things the Matrix is constantly showing you that you believe are wrong. Notice how adept the Matrix is at that. You're feeling good about yourself, and you open Instagram, and suddenly you see a body that you believe you should have, and you do not, and you judge yourself, and you lower your vibration. Or a car, or a home, or a pet, or a partner.
Okay, so I want to take a step with John. And John, thank you for your comments. They're fantastic. One of the things I want to expand on is John's wondering what other words we can use for the word appreciation to give a broader aspect to it.
To the way that we utilize David's vocabulary in appreciation and radical appreciation can also be described as deep understanding. Such deep understanding that you can no longer judge. When there is someone that you are opposed to, and suddenly you have all seen this on television, likely if you've been around enough decades, stuck in an elevator together or stuck in some situation where you have no choice but to interact with your enemy, and suddenly common ground is found. Suddenly mutual appreciation is created. And in that mutual appreciation, the vibration rises every single time. Most of you have experienced some type of being that you once judged, that you then got to know on some level, that you no longer have the same opinion of. You all have this experience, because when you find that understanding of, you begin to find appreciation of. When you find appreciation of, you are detuning the judgment of. And when you detune judgment, your vibration goes up every single time, because everything above neutral is our energy. And we do not judge. We are not judging anything that happens in your world. And there are some of you that are new to our teachings that will come and read off a laundry list of things that you expect us to come and judge. At our core, we are the source of all creation, and you are part of us. If we judged, we would be swooping in and saving all of you from yourselves all the time. And if we did, you would not be having the creative human journey that you're having. If we swooped in and saved one who was drowning, and saved one who was starving, and saved one who had cancer, why would we not then save all? And then we save all of you from your human journey. You're all living in this utopian perfection. You want for nothing. Therefore, you create nothing. You realize that there's no point in being physical any longer, because you have every single thing that you want all the time, with no struggle, no challenges, no problems to solve whatsoever. And there's no reason for your being physical in the first place. The physical environment ceases to be, and you return to your completed state. But in that completed state, the only thing that is needed, desired, automatically needed and desired, not even really needed and desired because it is expected, it is expansion. And expansion is created via new consciousness. New consciousness is formed in the solving of problems. We have simplified it a great deal, but it truly is that simple. The creation of obstacles and the solving of obstacles makes you more sophisticated versions of you, makes your environment a more sophisticated version of itself. And in this increasing sophistication is contributing to the sophistication of the entire universe. That is expansion, becoming a more intelligent, more sophisticated version of. Fill in the blank, because it applies to everything, everything.
John says, so the action of killing another is not judged, but it's extremely low vibrational.
The act of killing other beings runs the gamut of vibration, certainly, but doing so in rage and anger and hatred is a very low vibration. You would not be up your spiral murdering other people. You would not. Yeah. However, you are in an environment where indeed life consumes life. Life consumes life, and everything is life. Everything that you consume, everything that your physical vehicles thrive on is a form of life, whether it's a plant or an animal or water or what have you. It is all a variant of that. And that is life. And beyond water, you are causing the ending of physical being to feed yourselves. So there is that aspect. So that is a different version of ending a physical journey than murdering someone or going to war or being in a fit of rage and beating someone to death or something of that nature. But it's the ending of an experience nonetheless. We are not judging any of it. However, you have a system of judgment, and it is completely within your sovereign rights to have your systems of judgment. You are operating in a matrix. You are living in communities. There's nothing wrong with you having rules. But when the rules get so out of control that you all feel bound by them and constricted by them, it is okay for you to question those. It is okay for you to release some of them. It is okay to lighten up on yourselves, because there are no rules, no laws that stop the vibrational physical journey, especially for humanity, because of your heightened intelligence. Because of your heightened intelligence, you create so much more than the other beings in your environment, but you also create so much more destruction than the other beings in your environment. Again, polarity. Polarity on all topics, always. You're not going to escape a polarity as long as you are in a physical environment. You came here for that. But as much as you came here for the problems, you didn't come here to just wallow in self-pity and all of your problems. You came here for the expansion that is offered in the authentic solving of your problems. So everything that you view as a problem or a challenge or an obstacle can be solved, because it is your creation, whether individually or collectively. It is essentially all the same. Anything that you possess the ability to create, and you create all of it, you also possess the ability to solve, to evolve through, to fix, to change, however you wish to refer to it or think of it. That's solving, and that solving always begins with consciousness creation. In fact, all your creation begins that way. All creation is consciousness creation first. The physical aspect of creation is the after effect. It is the fleshing out of creation after it's been consciously created and allowed. And all new creation is occurring above neutral on your vibrational spiral, always. Everything happening below neutral for you is recycled. You are not capable of new thought when you're below neutral. You're not. You're recycling. You're recycling old fears, old doubts, old beliefs. And here you are finding yourselves in this new frontier of more freedom, but also in this new frontier of more freedom, very likely being drawn back into the matrix, because there is so much fear, there is so much judgment that is being danced out in front of you, attempting to draw you right back into that matrix.
Okay, so David Root says, but doesn't anger have a place in all this because it galvanizes people to make a change?
If you choose the anger route, and certainly in your vibrational journey, you're all going to experience the anger route, and allow the appreciation for your anger to move you back up your vibrational spiral, that could be like the launch pad, certainly. To use a visual example, dipping down into anger and then allowing yourselves to go back up from that anger point, because anger is very uncomfortable for you. You behave in different ways. You're very different beings when you're angry. You go down your spiral. You then announce that you have said and done things that you were regretting. You say that you didn't mean what you said when you were down there in your spiral, but you did. Because that's where you were vibrationally. You were that anger being in that moment, in that experience. You were that being. That fit of rage, anger, is something that if you choose to visit it, and it is a choice, but if you choose to visit it, we are certainly not judging that, as we do not judge anything. But if you allow that to be the launch pad of you going back up your spiral into solution territory, then the anger has served you in your vibrational journey, certainly. But you can teach yourselves not to go into the anger space at all. You can teach yourselves to meet your obstacles in joy. You can teach yourselves to make your belief system one of radical appreciation of all that is. And in doing so, understand that in your radical appreciation of both sides and every side and any side, you are offering solution-oriented vibrational power to that topic. The matrix will tell you you're not. The matrix will tell you that you got to get on a side or you're part of the problem. You are offering so much more solution in appreciating both sides. Understanding that Beings are on a vibrational journey, that suffering occurs in your world. And if you appreciate the journey of another, even when their journey includes suffering, your appreciation of them, and appreciation does not mean that you're celebrating it. Your appreciation does not mean that you want that to happen to them. Your appreciation does not mean that you're hoping for the worst for them. Your appreciation means that you hold deep understanding of their vibrational journey. And even when they're suffering, even when they're traumatized, you are holding such deep understanding for them and their experience that you have nothing but appreciation for them exactly as they are. You don't need them to change. You don't need them to be happier to please you, which happens a lot. You're making me uncomfortable. I want you to be happier because I want to be happier around you, and I want you to have a better experience so I can have a better experience.
One of the things that I've been that I am understanding is that when I'm angry, there's an underlying need that's not being met within me. That I'm not living in my authentic truth, that I'm not speaking my authentic truth. Can we elaborate a little bit more on that?
When you are in the lower vibrational state, again, you are recycling old thought. You're not creating anything new, and you are in that state of attracting more things of like nature into your path. And those of you that follow these teachings, one of the steps in your journey to greater understanding very often includes, but does not have to, the condemning yourselves for being in low vibration, believing that somehow you're supposed to be at the top of your spiral all the time, that you should just be in meditation, you need to sequester yourself, you should not be on social media or watching the news or interacting with other beings at all, because you want to be up your spiral and happy and joyful all the time. But that's not possible. You did not come here for that experience. You were in that experience before you very eagerly chose to emerge in the physical world. You very much wanted to come to physical for the expansion that it offers. So here you are in your physical state of being, operating in this matrix that tells you that anything that's below zero is bad. You shouldn't ever be sad or upset, or you shouldn't have anything bad happen to you. You shouldn't be witnessing people that are angry or any of these things. But you all experience that. You all experience it. It is the vibrational journey of the human experience. In fact, all physical creation has a vibrational journey. And a physical vibrational journey always includes a beginning, a middle, and an end. And there is no assertion of a timeline for any of that. There is no timeline in the energetic realm. Timelines and units of measurement and things of that nature are all earthly creation. And in your earthly creation of expectation of length of time and amount of money and amount of education and how old you are when you get married and have your first child and how long you live and all of these things, those are all elements of the matrix. It is our promise to you, regardless of what your experience is in physical, you are thrilled from the eternal perspective with exactly the experience that you have had. And every strand of consciousness is thrilled with the experience that it's had in physical and is eager to do it again and again and again. When we become aware of human beings stating that they wish for this to be their last lifetime, or that this is their last lifetime, that is always the ego speaking. That is always the ego speaking, because you are expressing yourselves infinitely in physical environments, infinitely, simultaneously, infinitely. But your awareness is in your current environment so that you can focus on this magnificent human journey that you came here to have. And the things that we guide you to, and understand that our guidance is optional. We are not coming to you via David as some deity seeking to be worshipped and obeyed. Ever, 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 ever. There is nothing of the energetic realm seeking obedience from any physical environment. There is nothing of the energetic realm about worship. There's nothing of the energetic realm about asserting a set of rules or laws or blessing one and cursing another. The physical vibrational journey of chance is why you come to physical. And that physical vibrational journey of chance does so much for you, does so much for your soul. You speak of things feeding your soul. You want to feed your soul, come to a physical environment, discover things that you love about that physical environment. Discover things that you absolutely discern as your preferences, and then discover things that are going to trip you up along your way of experiencing them. Discover the pitfalls, the potholes, the blunders, all of the things that you're going to place in your paths, and you all do. Some keep it well hidden and present a facade that is one that is very polished, but you all understand that that's not real. Because your most favorite stories are triumph through adversity. Your second favorite stories are when the mighty fall. And the reason that you like the mighty falling is not because you're evil necessarily and want to see someone suffer. It confirms that indeed they are human just like you. It actually confirms your humanity and in recognizing their humanity. That's why these stories resonate with you so much. That's why you have tabloids plastered all over your supermarkets. They're human too. They're just like me. They mess up. They struggle. But when you are all so very focused upon the struggle, you absolutely are perpetuating more of it. So what we are offering you and the guidance that we are providing is all about going inward to your own power of creation. Understanding that you claiming ownership of everything that you've created, even if you've created things in your life that you have no idea how you could have possibly participated in. Even if things happened to you when you were very, very young and believe that you had absolutely nothing to do with it, it doesn't matter. This isn't about blame. We are never, ever, ever about fault or blame, ever. This is about experience. This is about the vibrational journey experience that you're all here to have. That's going to include positive and negative always. But when you understand it and you make your work systematically being higher and higher on your spiral vibrationally, then you are going to notice your default vibration going higher and higher and higher and higher. And when that happens, and many of you know exactly what we are speaking about, when it goes higher and higher and higher, your lives get better and better and better and better. You become more aware of everything in your world, how it functions, how it operates, why these beings are down their spiral, why they're arguing, why they're duking it out. And you can hold authentic appreciation for that. That is observing the matrix without demonizing it.
That is beautiful. We are at the top of the hour. And is there any last words from the stream?
You have asked us to come and speak to a topic that is on the minds of many, not just in the United States, but across your world, because everyone watches the United States to see there's a leadership quality about it, very often a faltering leadership quality about it. Understand that we are not about a nation. We are not about any government or rules or any of those things. We communicate via David for all of humanity. And this message will spread as it spreads. We are here for one or however many are showing up for this message. But understand that our intention in sharing all of this is via your asking for it, via your asking for clarity, via your asking for a path out of the matrix. When you are bothered, when you are fearful, when you are separated from joy, when you are polarized, when you are believing that you need to take sides and you need to fight it out and you need to be right, when you are judging yourselves and others, you are in the matrix. You do not have to operate in the matrix. You do not have to be there. You can fully remove yourselves from it. And you can have your vibrational journey up and down your spiral outside the matrix, meeting your obstacles in joy. You can. You absolutely can. With much love. That is what we have.
That was so good. Welcome back. Welcome back.
I have this cough, and I think a sugary frappuccino is probably not the best choice of drinks to come on here.
I didn't even know they had those.
Somebody left it in my refrigerator, and I went to grab one of these, and there wasn't one in there. So I was like, well, this is what's there. I'm thirsty, and I have to be on. I'm a minute late already.
I think that's wonderful. I want to
So
thank
how was that? Did you get answers to your question?
I did. It was actually, that was extremely helpful. They're saying, a lot of really great input. And I think I personally got a lot of answers. And I think what it really has to do with is taking the gist of it is finding common ground with a higher vibration and appreciating both sides and appreciating everybody has a right to their own opinion, but realizing that within our sovereignty, we have our own right, what we allow and what we don't allow, and whether or not there is a distraction. So it really is about staying within ourselves. And really, I want to encourage everybody to not go the anger route, as the stream was saying. I mean, you can, and that's cool. It's all good. But as I mentioned, Rosa Parks didn't go the anger route. The Dalai Lama did not go the anger route. There's been many, many people who've been in some really, we've had history where we've had a lot of judgment and a lot of segregation based upon somebody's sex or race. And I say sex or race because gender is something totally different. So and so we're going to batten down the hatches, and this is the vision that I have. All of us standing together and holding hands and just gently being who we are within the right of our sovereign being and loving into that, but supporting each other rather than fighting each other. And no matter what that takes, everybody has a right to it. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. That's what I got from the stream. It was good. It was really good.
Well, as usual, I'm in a bit of a daze after I've channeled for over an hour. It's after 6 already, I see. Yeah. I do want to thank all of you for your questions. And we are over on Patreon with our show every Thursday night. And we do a Sunday morning show also called Sunday Soul Food, where I jump on by myself and just channel. And you can ask questions and all of that stuff too. So we're over there all the time. We'll pop back into Facebook and YouTube a little more often. I've really been off of Facebook completely. I haven't been on Facebook in months now.
Isn't it great to have him back, everybody? So. It's great to have you back.
It's good to see some people that I haven't seen or heard from in a while. It really is. It really is. So I need to detune my my judgment of my Facebook experience, perhaps. There's a detuning work for me to do there, right? I have not missed social media. I really haven't missed it. I've been super busy, but I'll jump back in more often. But we are over on Patreon, so check that out. It's the Stream of David on Patreon. Listen to the Stream of David podcast. If you're not listening to that already, I invite you to listen to that. We have a new podcast every week. I channel almost every week on the Stream of David podcast, and we have a lot of interesting guests who are students of the stream on all the time who talk about. I have you back on the podcast, Debbie. When's the last time you were on the podcast?
I don't know, but it's been a minute. You do. We need to have a chitty chatty.
Yeah. So. Carrie, if you're watching, let's get Debbie hooked up on the podcast.
Hi, Carrie.
On any time, and you need to come visit me in the desert.
I am coming soon. It's hot out there right now.
It is very hot out here right now, but I have a swimming pool and air conditioning.
All right. I love that.
So
thank you. I love it.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for watching. Thank all of you for hanging out for over an hour. I appreciate you all very much. I hope you'll check out the Stream of David podcast. We're on YouTube also. And if you like the lives, you like the stream, check out Patreon as well. Debbie, thank you so much for hosting as always. And I can't wait to watch this back and see what the stream shared because I don't remember much of it.
Well, you're going to need to. It was so good. I love you guys. We'll see you later, alligator.